All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports. I am your host, Ryan Blackburn at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network, and I am here. Abnormal time, obviously. It's 8 p.m. when I am recording this now, 8 p.m. Mountain on Sunday night. But that comes with an abnormal game time, and the Nuggets did not handle it perfectly well. They ultimately lose 92-87 in game 4. An absolute ugly rock fight, one monstrosity after another. Just a whole bunch of misses in this game, but it shouldn't really be surprised. I don't think anybody was really surprised that Denver was missing some shots in this one. But what was unfortunately surprising, Denver didn't come up clutch at the end. They didn't have, they had the opportunity. They were leading in the fourth quarter. They did everything that they needed to do to get to that point. It was just unfortunate that they could not keep up the flow heading into the final minutes. They spent everything. They spent as much as they possibly could to get back into the game, but ultimately it was not meant to be. And so Denver's now 2-2. They will go back to Oklahoma City with a series that is tied up at 2 games apiece. Best 2 out of 3. Same situation that Denver is in, except reversed. Actually, kind of interesting to see the parallels between this one and the Clipper series. I think if you're Denver, you probably don't feel as good about this one because, 1, you just lost the most recent game. But 2, this was a game that I kind of felt like Denver had to have. And they didn't get it. They just didn't get it at this point. And now they have been able to step up in these moments and been able to just, whenever you feel like the momentum is shifting, whenever you feel like they could be in real trouble, they surprise. So I don't want to write them off or anything like that. But OKC, I think, just has to feel like they are in really good position at this point. So we'll talk about the game. We will talk about Jokic. We will talk about the bench minutes that really hurt Denver in this one. But really, it's about just the 2-2 series and how Denver had an opportunity that kind of slipped through their fingers. This game started in the most ugly way possible. I don't know if I've ever seen a game that bad that quickly. Denver scored 8 points in the first quarter. I've heard of teams and seen teams struggle to score, but this was probably the lowest scoring quarter in the playoffs, I have to imagine. Perfect storm kind of happened for Denver in this situation where they had the Friday night OT game, went late, and then just over 36 hours later, you have to turn it back around and you have to play a matinee game on Sunday. And from the jump, I kind of knew that this was a possibility. Doesn't make it any better, but David Adelman, in his pregame press conference, when asked about the matinee start and how tired Denver is, he basically said, we did nothing. We could do nothing. There was nothing that we could do. You just have to get guys off of their feet and hope and pray. And Mark Dagnall on the other side was like, yeah, same scenario for both teams. It's a quick turnaround, but it doesn't affect anybody any more than any other person. That was not true. And the big reason it's not true was because of OKC's depth. It was because OKC's the younger team. They have more depth. They have a better situation for dealing with a quick turnaround like this, especially because the Nuggets are coming off of a 7-game series themselves and are playing what was effectively a 6.5-man rotation today. Peyton Watson only played 9 minutes, didn't play badly, but he didn't play enough. And then Julian Strawther played 5 minutes, but Russell Westbrook played 27. He was not good. And the starters basically all played between 34 for Michael Porter. And Michael Porter played 34. Aaron Gordon played 38. Jokic played 43. Murray played 41. Christian played 44. The turnaround is it's tough. Denver just didn't have a lot of rest between game 4 or between game 3 and game 4. And that just really hurt them in this situation because they needed to get off to a good start. And when they didn't, they had to dig themselves out of that hole. And Porter shooting air balls, Russ shot an air ball, Peyton Watson shot an air ball. I don't know if Jamal Murray shot. Actually, he did. He definitely did, especially the final main shot of the game for him was an air ball. But everybody was horrible offensively in this game. There were no legs. There was nothing that could be really done. Denver turned the ball over too many times. And it wasn't even as many times as they normally turned it over against OKC. But it just felt like every single time that they turned it over, they conceded 18 points off of turnovers in this game. And that was a massive issue because I was talking to, was it Vinny who said, oh, maybe it was Matt Brooks who said this. It was one of the other guys at the arena. The 2 threes that OKC hit early in the fourth quarter, it felt like 10 points, not 6, because of how bad the offenses were. And that whenever you get a couple threes there, it just felt like it turned things pretty quickly. Denver really struggled. Denver really struggled to handle it. They were exhausted for the entire time. And you could just go down the line, look at the box score, and identify, hey, who was really feeling it? Well, Aaron Gordon had a good game. He was the only one. 15 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. Some of the shots that he's been making are crazy, but he also missed a couple free throws in this game. Michael Porter, 3 points. He was a plus 15 because his spacing was really important and because his rebounding and the size that Denver had when he was on the floor was actually important. But Michael Porter didn't make a jump shot today. He missed a free throw as well. 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. Murray, 5 of 15. He was like, this is a normal subpar Murray game. Like, he made some shots, but just wasn't efficient enough and effective enough to make it happen. Christian Braun, 2 of 9 from 3. They needed his 3-point shooting a lot. Like, he was attacking, and especially in the second quarter, helped Denver get back into it with his energy, with his attacks. But Denver needed him to hit some shots, and he just didn't. They needed anybody to hit some shots, and they just didn't. 3 steals and a block for Christian Braun, though. His defense for much of the game was pretty good. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander only shot 8 of 19. Jalen Williams only shot 2 of 13. So that's not the issue. Russell Westbrook, by the way, 2 of 12, 2 of 9 from 3, 6 fouls, minus 20. Not great. But I'm really thinking about Joker. I'm really thinking about Jokic. I'm really thinking about, in these situations where everything is a rock fight. I remember back to the championship run where Denver played a game 1 against the Phoenix Suns, and everybody was scoring left and right. It was easy for everybody. And then the Nuggets really turned it on. They kept up the pressure, and the Suns kind of ran out of gas in game 1. Game 2 was exactly the opposite. It was a rock fight kind of like this one. It was like a 90-84, 92-86 kind of game. I don't remember what the exact score was. But in that game, Jokic was the only one to get it going, and he carried the day. In a game where and he's had these games before in these rock fights. If you remember in the bubble, the 2020 Utah Jazz, we had to go up against Rudy Gobert. Really tough situation. Nobody shoots well. Nobody plays well. It's an 80-78 score. Jokic, efficient. Game 5 against the Miami Heat, where nobody else could score. Denver couldn't score. They only scored 94 points. But Jokic, 30 points, 12 of 16, or something close to that. Now, Jokic is in this slump. 27 points. Sounds good on its face value, but when you pair it with 7 of 22 from the field, like, this is just what's happening now. This has been the trend for him over the course of these past few weeks. Outside of game 4 against the Clippers and outside of game 1 against the Thunder, he just hasn't played efficient basketball. And there is a trend for all of the stars around the NBA right now that none of the stars are playing well. Jason Tatum's really struggling. Donovan Mitchell really struggling, especially today, where the Cavs are like he had the great game too. Donovan Mitchell did, but outside of that, it's just brutal. Jason Tatum, Jalen Brunson, like Luka Doncic was struggling. Anthony Edwards is struggling. Name a star, and they're probably playing pretty poorly right now. And I think it's because more than we've ever seen before, opposing coaches are loading up on that star player and saying, we're going to make somebody else beat us. We're not just going to sit here and allow the stars to be good. And defense in the NBA right now is really great. Like even the Denver Nuggets, the team that was 21st in defense, is playing great defense in the playoffs. That's the only reason that Denver was even in this game. They were 0 of 16 from 3 to start the game. They made their first jumper with 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. I'm not kidding. Like they had a layup and a dunk up until that point. They made their first jump shot at the beginning of the second quarter, like 9 minutes to go in the second. So like Denver's defense was good, and Jokic was also really good defensively. 4 steals. His rim protection, I thought, was pretty good in this one. Chet Holmgren was okay. Isaiah Hartenstein was okay. Shea couldn't get to the rim. A lot of that was because of the guards, but also Jokic loading up to that side. So he does deserve credit in that regard, just as everybody does. But these are the games where Jokic is usually the one to kind of put them into position to win. And he has struggled. He looks tired. I wonder how much pain he's in from the elbow, from the wrist, from things that he's had to deal with over the course of this time. But the fact of the matter is that Jokic has been bad offensively. The OKC Thunder, like even the Minnesota Timberwolves last year, he struggled at times in that series, but not extensively. Like he was still able to play reasonably great basketball for much of it. The OKC Thunder have really put him in a blender here. And whether it's the officiating, whether it's the length and athleticism, whether it's the defensive tenacity and the skills and everything that OKC has kind of thrown at him, whatever it is, it has affected him. It has bothered him. And the Nuggets, I just don't think have an answer for that without dragging OKC down into the mud as well. Like Shea didn't have a great game. Like he was good. He had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 8 of 19 from the field, but 0 of 5 from 3. Denver's done a pretty good job of loading up on him, making sure that other guys were the guys to beat them. But in this game, they did. Aaron Wiggins, 3 of 6 from 3 off the bench. Kaysen Wallace, 3 of 3 off the bench. Alex Caruso coming in playing major minutes. Hit 2 threes in a row, basically, and just made clutch plays and clutch defensive plays to bother Murray and Jokic on a consistent basis. So those guys are giving help. Denver has not gotten the requisite help from their bench. Russell Westbrook is one player. Peyton Watson is kind of playing. Not really. Like, 9 minutes is not good enough. And also Peyton, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. Not involved enough from an activity standpoint. Julian Strawther also went out there and got some cardio for 5 minutes. So in a game where everybody was exhausted, usually you are in a situation where your stars are carrying you at this moment. Denver can't do that with Jokic right now because he has not been good enough. He carries so much of a heavy burden in the regular season. I just think he's gassing out. This is why him playing 36, 37 minutes a game in the regular season was a horrible idea, but they needed to do it because they were bad in the regular season and they needed him out there a lot of the time. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy here. Like the Thunder are going to have more energy going forward and Jokic is going to have less. He's just running out of gas, having played the kind of season that he played, one of the best regular seasons, especially offensively, that I have ever seen. And now OKC gets to load up on him. They get to rotate out their 3 different bigs. They get to mix and match elite defensive guards. elite defensive wings, and they just get to go to town trying to make his life a living hell. And they have. He has not been good enough. Now, this is not to give anybody else a pass. In game 3, Jamal Murray was the one who stepped up. He could have stepped up today. He did not. He 17 points, 5 assists, 5 of 15. Meh. Could have been better. Could have been better down the stretch. Could have taken over down the stretch a little bit more. Not great. Michael Porter, 20 points in the previous game, 3 today. Aaron Gordon, I thought he was good. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He is not at fault here. But Christian Brown, 2 of 9 from 3. Russell Westbrook, 2 of 9 from 3. They need a little bit better from those guys too. You can point to a lot of different reasons, especially when Denver only scores 87. Like there's a lot of reasons to think that, like, there's a lot of reasons why Denver lost. The other is that they don't have enough players. But at this point, Denver's now in kind of they're in a tough situation because you went all out for this one. It's 2-2. And now you have to go through a best 2 out of 3 series and see, can you actually win a game 5 on the road after OKC just stole this one? I don't know. Basically, Denver won game 1 and game 3. They lost game 2 and game 4. Logic would say that they can win game 5. There is also the opportunity that, well, you know what? I'll save that. When we come back, we'll talk about game 5 a little bit. I also have another couple of things I want to talk about from a stat standpoint for Jokic and the bench minutes. But there's a lot to go over. We will be right back to discuss it here on Pickaxe and Roll. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll. Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Okay. So I did want to mention this. I don't know if PvP stats is updated. Let me check it really quick here. This is something I had noted in the Clipper series. The non-Murray minutes have actually been more impactful for Denver so far than the non-Jokic minutes. Don't ask me why that is. I don't know. I think that they're, maybe it's just the floor balance for Denver. They need somebody who can initiate offense as a guard, as a perimeter player. But in general, the Jokic minutes without Murray in these playoffs have been horrible. Listen to these breakdowns really quick. Jokic on, Murray off, or Jokic and Murray on together. Denver's a +6 net rating, +6.2. Pretty good. That's especially with the blowouts that they have had. That's pretty good. When Murray is on, in the 63 minutes that Jokic has sat, they have a -7.8 net rating. Okay, not great. What's interesting is that their offense has actually been pretty good in those moments, 118.6. The defense has been horrible, 126.4. Jokic has locked in and played pretty great defense for much of these playoffs, so he does deserve a ton of credit for that. And Denver also just not having a backup center is really bad. Aaron, I think he's now at that point where we have to talk about him as just a purely backup, or as a pure power forward. He cannot play backup center anymore. Maybe he can. Maybe there's just other personnel that Denver needs around him in order to get it done, but it hasn't really happened. What has really hurt Denver is the non-Murray minutes. With Murray off and Jokic on, 43 minutes, -43 net rating, 85 offensive rating, 128 defensive rating. That is ridiculous. That is horrible. And the fact that this is across the playoffs, they have not been able to score when Jamal Murray is off the floor. Jokic has not been like there are a couple of possessions that they get to on occasion where Russ gets the pick and roll in the middle of the floor. He gets to set up Jokic, and that's great. Like if you can get to the pick and pop, if you get to the pick and roll. But if you can't get to that, the Nuggets are usually posting up Jokic. Russ is cutting, Christian's cutting, Aaron's cutting, Porter's spacing or cutting. And there's just not a lot of like great initiation happening from any of the other guys. Denver's offense without Murray has been horrible in the playoffs. And like it obviously without Jokic and Murray, it's been almost as bad. Actually, it's been worse. 29 minutes without Jokic or Murray on the floor, 76.7 offensive rating, 120 defensive rating, minus 43. They have been bad in those minutes. If you remember back to the championship run, it was a little bit easier because Denver was facing some easier competition, but they were also just more dominant, I think, from a more holistic standpoint. But they were able to survive the non-Jokic minutes, and the non-Murray minutes weren't really a thing. Like that wasn't a thing that I could even bring up, but I had noticed it when I had been looking at some of these numbers, and I just think that Denver, without Julian Strawther really stepping up as a shooter, as somebody that can handle some creation responsibility, Denver doesn't have anybody that can replicate what Murray does. They obviously don't have anybody to replicate what Jokic does, but we've been talking about that for 10 years. So it's not that big of a deal. I think everybody understands the deal with that. But it's been interesting to think about what Denver has to go to. The bench plus Jokic minutes have just been bad. They have not been able to handle it, and they are in a really tough place trying to replicate that. So curious to see, even if it's not something that they solve in these playoffs, it's something that I'm going to be talking about, that I'm going to be thinking about in the offseason, because they need somebody that can help make his life easier. Westbrook did in the regular season. There's no doubt about it. And he's still doing some good things offensively in terms of making his life easier. But Westbrook's assist numbers have gone down tremendously in the playoffs, especially in this series. And I think a lot of that is just OKC cutting off those primary actions that the Nuggets were able to go to. And Denver doesn't really have another answer. It's not as versatile. They can't really invert the pick and roll in the same way. It's just not something that they have done. So curious to see whether they could come up with another answer there. Okay. Can Denver win game 5? Yes. Yes, they can. I'm not going to sit here and say that they can't. I know I'm a pessimistic Andy, but I am not going to sit here and say that they can't do it. Do I think that they will? I don't know. Here's something funny from Gabriel. Zach LaVine would be helpful right about now. Yeah, he probably would. You know what's funny is I wasn't hearing that in game 3 when Michael Porter was dominating and everybody was like, hey, Ryan liked Zach LaVine. Ryan wanted Zach LaVine. What an idiot. What an absolute moron he is. Yeah, that's having another guy to create would be helpful. But we don't look, we're not going to, it's over. It's over at this point. Denver can win game 5. They've already shown that they can win on the road. They've shown that they can do it. The question is whether they will have the energy to get up for it, whether they can stay attached to the Thunder, and whether they can finish the game with the way that they need to. I don't know. I don't know whether they're going to be able to. OKC, it feels like they are. Feels like this is a good situation for them to go up 3-2. However, Denver's never been one to kind of put themselves within an easy narrative, within an easy box to really talk through. The good thing about having a matinee game on Sunday is that you get to rest just a couple of extra hours on Tuesday. They got to go back home. They got to rest today. Tough scene, like they're gonna be tough. They're not having a lot of turnaround time or anything like that. But OKC also has to do the same thing that Denver did. They'll be traveling, and Denver's going to get in there Monday afternoon at some point, and they're going to be okay. Like, I think they'll be able to find a little bit more consistency, at least from an offensive standpoint. The question is whether OKC also does, because I think OKC was in a really hostile environment in Denver. They talked about it themselves. Its altitude was very tough for them. The environment, the crowd was very tough. Like, completely different situation than against Memphis, where Memphis fans had really no hope after losing by a combined 79 points in the first two games. Because Denver got game one, Nuggets fans were insane in game three. They also had some really good moments today, and I wanted to make sure to mention that because I was kind of critical of the crowd earlier, but it did pick up as the game went along. And when Denver was ultimately able to take the lead in that mid-third, I really thought that Denver was going to keep it. I thought at that point, okay, maybe they can do this. Maybe they can do this thing. And they just ran out of gas. Denver has to find ways to not run out of gas in game five. It's going to be hard, but like, it's just the thing. It's just what you have to do. And I'm very curious whether Adelman goes to Julian Strother, Zeke Naji, those kinds of guys on the road, or if he's actually going to just kind of rein it back in. But it's pretty clear that the Nuggets are tired. It's pretty clear that they are really feeling the effects of having gone 7 games with the Clippers, and now they are in a knockdown, drag-it-out series with OKC. They've been a part of the 2 best series in the playoffs so far, and they are just gassed. Them having the mental toughness and the resiliency to be able to handle it, it's different from the fact that you should not have to do that. They are in a really, really tough spot. So I'm curious to see what they look like from here. We got a super chat from Vims popping in with €2. Says, how do you build a team with no picks? New fan. Well, first of all, thank you for popping in. Really appreciate you. Second of all, that's going to be tough. I don't necessarily want to focus too deeply on offseason questions while Denver's in the middle of a series, but there are a couple of ways that they can do it. The first thing is that they have to ace free agency. They have to be able to find some guys on the margins that other teams are undervaluing. Maybe they find a guy that's willing to take a smaller contract, a cheaper contract, just to be in Denver because of the situation. They haven't had that before a lot of the time. And it would be great if Denver spent a dime on a new practice facility just so that other people would be a little bit more inside, like they wanted to be here because of the amenities, because of the facilities, because of how you treat people, things like that. That's not the advantage that Denver's going to get. So I think the free agency stuff is going to be tough, but Denver can also trade into the draft if they want to. But what I would like, I don't want to spend too much time. If I were doing this, and I will be spending a lot of time on this offseason, I would be looking at second contract guys who are still young, who screwed up their first contract on their rookie deals with other teams and are kind of floating on the bargain bin, the dumpster pile, whatever. And you get them into Denver and say, hey, you have to buy into a role here. You are not going to play every night, but the goal is to find a way to earn your contract, find a way to earn your minutes and become something more for a team that needs it. And so that would be what I would consider. The other thing is trades, but I'm not going to get into that at all. So thank you for the super chat, Vims. Really appreciate it. Snow Wolf is in here saying the air balls and missed free throws were killing me. Totally agree. I don't think I have ever seen so many air balls in a quarter. The first quarter was an absolute tire fire, and I could not believe how tired they looked because they just could not hit the rim. There was a transition 3 that Michael Porter had. I am not kidding. Wide open down the left side of the court. Nobody on that side of the court going with him. The Thunder were like, ah, crap, he's got it. And then he sailed it out of bounds. Sometimes it's just not your night, man. And sometimes it's just not your day. It sucks because it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers today. But like Denver just did not have it. They didn't have a reserve of energy. And I feel like it's really that simple. Thunder fans don't like to boil it down to that. Yeah, they were also tired. There's no doubt about it. But because Denver's the more veteran team, they're the team that has the shallower rotation. They played a 7-game series. Yeah, it's a factor. And so the quicker turnaround definitely helps the Thunder. They were also able to adjust to altitude. So Denver would have been faster adjusting to altitude in game 3, but the Thunder like had this game 36 hours, like with a 36-hour gap been played in game 3, I think Denver probably wins that going away. But it wasn't. So going to be very interesting to see how the Nuggets respond to this, though. My initial prediction was Thunder in 6. After game 3, where Denver goes up 2-1, I came on here and apologized to people and was like, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong, and maybe I didn't give the Nuggets enough credit. This is the Thunder effectively saying, no, you gave us a lot of credit, Ryan. Because I do believe in the Thunder as a team. I think that they are a fantastic team, a team that is, yes, young, but also is going through those experiences right now and is kind of going through the fire at this point. And we will see whether they burn or whether they kind of iron hardened for the other side. But I do think that there's at least a world where Thunder in 6 kind of plays out, and it's kind of a roundabout way of them saying, yeah, we're the best team in the series and you guys gassed out. I don't think there's any shame in that from Denver's side of things. Denver's in a really tough spot. They were in a tough spot going into this thing. It's why them winning game 1 was so insane. But if they were going to win this series, they probably needed to win game 4. It doesn't mean that they can't win this series going forward. I don't really expect them to win game 5 and game 6. They're probably going to win either 5 and 7 and win both games on the road, or win 6 and 7 and surprise OKC. But who knows? Maybe Denver can get them. I am done trying to predict things with this team. They have gone out of their way to make my predictions look dumb for the entire year. So more power to them. You guys have gotten some good entertainment out of it, I hope. But I do think that Denver needs they need a windfall. They need some energy. They need a Jokic game. It would be great if they got another Jokic game. I thought we were going to get it in game 4. Figured he would have figured some stuff out. His decisions were better. 2 turnovers only, but he only had 3 assists because nobody could make a shot. And he also shot 7 of 22, which is just straight up not good enough. So if Joker gets his mojo back, if Joker gets the opportunity to shine and then does and puts the team on his back for a win, and Denver kind of wins comfortably, Denver's got a real shot here. Like, still 2-2. We don't know what they're capable of. Actually, we do know what they're capable of, and it's the fact that we don't know what they're capable of. So we'll see what happens, but I'm curious to see how Denver responds again to more adversity. All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. No show tomorrow morning, but I probably will do a pregame show on Tuesday morning, and we'll get into some more insights. We'll talk about the rest of the playoffs, things like that. Should be fun. That'll be at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Everybody have a good rest of your weekend. Enjoy it. Wash this game away. It's a new day for Denver. Best 2 out of 3 over the course of these next couple. Thank you so much, everybody. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. I'll talk to you guys very soon.